growing up with alcoholics seems normal when you're a kid, and you just develop a habit in your daily routine to succumb to the type of people who have their emotional issues when they're sober and when they're drunk. I mean, it's hard for me to say a person would live in denial about a family member's drunkenness, because it takes a lot of time. You can't live in denial for a very long time. There are those steps, and eventually acceptance settles in. It may take a long time, but a lot of people will accept that there's always going to be seemingly an alcoholic within their family structure, and that's just how the routine is going to, the culture is going to revolve around. And in like family I grew up in, I'm older, and I mean, it's hard for me to say that alcoholism really affected me much. You can probably see from my videos I'm living homeless, but I mean, did alcoholism really affect me? It's hard to say. I mean, not everybody was an alcoholic, so but I think people maybe accepted alcoholism because in the early '80s, when I was growing up, you saw the surge in the sugar consumption. The obesity epidemic started pretty much in the early '80s, late '70s, and alcohol and sugar digest the same. Alcohol is just fermented sugar, so this corn syrup problem was just emerging too. And I was a kid growing up in it, and I ate a lot of sugar, so I had an addiction, and it affected me. The only difference was that sugar will affect the alcoholic and the sugar addict the same way. The only difference is with alcohol, it's processed differently in the brain, and it'll make you feel lightheaded and dizzy as a part of that processing. But everything else is the same, where it affects the liver and all that. So, I mean, I kind of accepted the alcoholism part with some family members. It just seemed normal because I understood where they're coming from. But it really wasn't. It's not normal. You're still putting your body through those terrible highs and lows of the digestion and the addiction, and then the feeding the addiction, and then the cravings. It's a terrible cycle that can really make a person's mind erratic. And I had the fuzzy thoughts and the poor health. I mean, I just couldn't do well in school or anything. Along with my sisters and stuff, we struggled, and it was from habits that we learned. Me and my sisters learned from the family, the elders. They pretty much all had a lot of addictions, but they grew up somewhat without the nasty corn syrup epidemic. A little bit. I mean, my childhood was the beginning of it. So they were just entering into the corn syrup craze as adults. They may not see the problems that kids see today. I'm definitely not a kid. I'm a full-grown man, and I'm into my own thinking and stuff. But I mean, there have to be some elements of how alcoholism has affected me, and it just seems like it's normal now. But I've rejected a lot of the alcoholic language, and I think that's pretty important. You want to take that out of your language, and that can help build yourself up.